Hey everyone, it's SG Holyman. Welcome back to another video review. This time I'm going to be reviewing the vehicular combat game from SCE Connected Content Group, Hardware Rivals. The first thing I'll say about the game is that it has a nice visual aesthetic. It's very colorful and it has like a cartoony feel to it, and I really like that for this kind of game. However, I will say that the music is pretty bland. It's a bunch of electronic beats and stuff like that, and it just kind of fades into the background and you forget that it's even there. Also, I'll say that matches are really quiet. What I mean by that is that you really don't hear the announcer, and when you do, it's mainly when you pick up a power up or when something important happens in the match. Otherwise, you don't really hear him. And the other thing you'll hear is the different drivers trash talking each other, which is a nice touch, but it rarely happens. So prepare to basically listen to this game in silence. The one thing I will give this game, though, is that it does run really smoothly online. Uh, is that because not a lot of people are playing? I don't know. But in my experience, I only had one crash. So it is nice that it runs smooth and that you can pretty much find a match fairly quickly. Now, there are two types of vehicles that you can use in this game: tanks and what I'm going to call battle cars. Now, the developers did do a decent job of making these two vehicles feel different from each other, and they work the way that you think they would. Tanks are a bit slower and they're a little more difficult to maneuver, but they do hit harder and they soak up more damage, and they were the type of vehicle that I like to play in this game. However, battle cars are a bit faster and they're a little easier to maneuver, but they are weaker and they don't hit as hard. The problem is that there are only 4 vehicles that you can choose from: 2 tanks, 2 battle cars. And while the 2 different types of vehicles feel different from each other, the 2 tanks and the 2 battle cars don't feel different enough from each other, if that makes sense. While I will say that the game is easy to pick up and for anybody to understand, the control scheme is a bit clunky. You have to aim with your right stick, and while this does add some finesse to taking out your opponent, you have to fire with the R1 button, and that can really mess up your handling at times. And even when you get a grip on the clunky control scheme, the physics in the game just don't feel right. And the handling in general is just bad. Another complaint that I do have is that even though the speedometer says that you're going fairly fast, you just don't really feel it. Another aspect of this game is the different arenas that battles can take place in. While there are only 4 maps, each one is unique to one another, and they're pretty well designed, and they are littered with different types of power-ups and what I'm going to call a board wipe. Speaking of power-ups, it's pretty standard. You know, you have your EMP to disable driving and your vehicle weapons and missiles and lasers, and like I said, it's pretty stock. But I will say that each of the different weapons are satisfying to use. Now, since this is a multiplayer game, there is a progression system, and this one is okay. Sorry, after each match, you gain what's called salvage points, and you can use your salvage points to spend on cosmetics for your different vehicles. Also, when you gain a level, you can either get a new camo for your different vehicles, or you can get a driver perk. Hardware Rivals is an okay game. While it's fun in short bursts and there's a great idea at its core, it lacks the zaniness that these games kind of need, and it feels half baked, and you'll probably play a couple matches of it and then forget it's on your hard drive, or you'll probably just delete it. Anyway, that's it for this review. Um, if you liked what you've seen, you can go ahead and like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel for more reviews and Let's Plays. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.